Research Methods by Professor Charles Dorner. If you enjoy this video, please like and share this video with your students, classmates, friends, and colleagues. Also, please subscribe to my channel for more content. Research is a methodical inquiry process that encompasses the gathering of data, the documentation of significant information, the analysis and interpretation of that data and information in accordance with the necessary methods specified by particular academic and professional disciplines. To begin, what exactly are research methods? Research techniques are distinct from research methodologies in that they refer to the precise procedures that are used to obtain information for a research project. The subject matter, the type of data, and the information sources all play key roles in deciding the most appropriate strategy to use for your project. The processes of gathering and evaluating numerical data are the two main components of quantitative research. It is possible to use it to uncover patterns and averages, evaluate causal linkages, make predictions, and generalize results to larger groups. Quantitative research is the antithesis of qualitative research, which entails the gathering and examination of information that is not numerical in nature, for example, text, video, or audio. The fields of the scientific and social sciences, such as biology, chemistry, psychology, economics, sociology, and marketing, all make extensive use of quantitative research methods. Closed-ended questionnaires and surveys are types of questionnaires and surveys that are analogous to multiple-choice tests, in which participants are required to choose an answer from a predetermined list of options. They are required to choose the response that is the one with which they agree the most, considering the information presented in the question. Due to the ease with which the data may be combined and quantified, this methodology is the most straightforward form of quantitative research. Structured interviews are a prominent form of study used in market research because the data gathered from them can be quantified. To ensure that the statistics are not distorted in any way, they have been meticulously crafted to allow for very little room for interpretation throughout the interviewing process. You have the option of carrying out structured interviews either in person, online, or via phone. One of the first things you need to do if you are considering using a quantitative approach to your study is to decide on the sorts of measures that you will include in your inquiry. This is one of the most important steps. The outcome of this consideration will determine the kind of numerical information you collect for your data, so pay attention to how it turns out. The following is an explanation of each of the four levels of measurement. Nominal numbers are those in which the arrangement of the digits does not affect their significance. Their goal is to distinguish distinct pieces of information. One such activity is soliciting participants' postal codes for use in the study. There is no significance to the order in which the digits appear, rather, the sequence of numbers that make up each zip code represents a unique set of information. Because the order in which these numbers are listed is significant, the term ordinal can also be referred to as ranks. The procedure that involves placing things in order according to a predetermined set of standards is called ranking. Ordinal metrics are utilized rather frequently, and one example of this type of metric is the ranking-based questionnaire. In this type of survey, participants are asked to rate various items on a scale from least desired to most favored. A pain scale is another example of a common medical tool, in which a patient is asked to rate the degree of discomfort they are experiencing on a scale from 1 to 10. Interval can be described as the researcher being concerned with the amount of space that exists between the numbers when the data are grouped into intervals. Every number has the same amount of space separating it from the next. The results of an examination are an example of interval data. Ratio measures are when the data are said to be in a ratio when they are arranged in an order and have a uniform gap between each number, but the ratio also has a 0 point. This indicates that you might get a measurement of 0 for whatever it is that you are trying to measure in your research. The measurement of the height of something is an example of ratio data because the 0 point remains the same in all the measurements. There is also the possibility that the height of anything is 0. Focus groups take place whenever a select number of individuals get together to talk about a particular topic. There are a few other titles for them, including group interviews and discussion groups. They are typically led by a moderator, who assists in directing the conversation and poses questions to the participants. It is crucial for the moderator to ensure that everyone in the room has an opportunity to speak, as this will prevent any one person from taking control of the conversation. The purpose of focus groups is to collect information, which is typically presented in the form of views, ideas, and viewpoints pertaining to a topic. There are many different reasons why focus groups are beneficial. It is not required to hold more than one meeting to collect a wide variety of responses. There was significantly less researcher bias because of the participants being given the option to discuss freely. Helps individuals overcome any concerns or anxieties they may have with a certain topic or issue. It's possible that the researcher will also consider how the participants interact with one another. There are several drawbacks associated with using focus groups. Speaking in front of an audience can be an intimidating experience for participants, particularly if the topic being discussed is sensitive or controversial. Since participation is voluntary, it is possible that not all participants will contribute equally to the discourse. Participants have the potential to influence what other people believe and speak. A researcher may feel vulnerable when they oversee a focus group all by themselves. When it comes to maintaining a safe setting for participants in a focus group, the host may need additional resources or financial assistance. Given that the data has been collated, it may be difficult to determine the individual perspectives of each participant on the topic under investigation. There are two primary techniques to conduct observations in research: direct observation and participant observation. When a researcher watches a participant in his or her natural environment, this is called direct observation. To get information, the researcher often takes notes or uses technology like a voice recorder or video camera. The person doing the research doesn't talk to or bother the people who are taking part. In the fields of psychology and health, this method is often used. Participant observation is when the researcher talks to the people who are part of the study to learn more about the topic. When trying to learn about another culture or group of people, this is a common way to do research. It is important to decide whether you will do a covert observation, where the participants don't know they are part of the research, or an overt observation, where the participants know the researcher is watching them. In some situations, it can be unethical to do a covert observation. Researchers employ semi-structured interviews for most of their data collection because they are the most effective method for obtaining precise information that can be compared to other interview data. To accomplish this, you will need to ask the identical questions throughout each interview, yet the respondents' responses can be unique each time. This implies that you need to ask additional questions of a topic if they respond in a particular way because you should investigate further. Interview schedules are frequently used as a tool to assist interviewers in keeping track of the topics that will be discussed or questions that will be answered during each individual interview. Theoretical analysis is a qualitative research method in which the researcher applies a theoretical framework to examine some aspect of the topic under investigation. Typically, this strategy is employed for research involving non-human subjects. A theoretical framework provides the researcher with a certain lens through which to study and assess the subject matter. In addition, it serves as the context for the entire study. This is one of the most prevalent research methods employed when analyzing works of literature, film, and other forms of media. Due to the complementary nature of many theoretical frameworks, this method permits the use of multiple theoretical frameworks. Unstructured interviews are a type of in-depth interview in which the interviewer seeks to understand the interviewee's perspective on a specific incident or subject. Interviews of this type are sometimes called life history interviews. It is vitally important not to bombard the person being interviewed with questions in order to provide them the opportunity to freely share their thoughts. As part of the mixed method plan, you will develop a single instrument for information collection that incorporates aspects of both open-ended and closed-ended surveys. When responding to certain questions, participants have the option of using pre-written responses, while free writing is required for other questions. Combining two distinct types of data is one way that this method enables you to acquire insight into your participants. This is one of the advantages of using this methodology. Before you make any judgments that are irreversible, you should first give some consideration to the process that you will apply to analyze this data. How do you determine which method of study is going to be the most useful for the proposal that you are currently working on? Your research objectives are an important factor to consider in making this determination. You should first ask yourself the following questions before making a final decision regarding the method of research that will be most effective for your subject. Do you have a strong grasp of numerical and mathematical concepts? Have you ever thought about conducting interviews with human subjects for a research project? If we give you a questionnaire for the participants to fill out, would you like doing that? Do you prefer face-to-face conversation, or do you prefer to communicate via writing? What knowledge or experiences do you already possess that could be useful to you in doing this research? Do you have any previous research project experiences that you may share with me that could be helpful with this one? And how much time do you anticipate being able to finish the research? The data collection process using certain approaches can take significantly longer than others. What is your spending limit like? Have you been able to secure sufficient financing to carry out the research in the manner that you prefer? How much data do you need? The amount of data required for some study topics is very little, whereas the amount required for others could be much higher. What are you hoping to accomplish with your investigation? This can be a useful signal for determining which research approach will be most appropriate to use in the given circumstances. The following are some of the topics that were covered in this presentation. What exactly is the research? Introduction to different research methods, research that focuses on numbers. Creating questionnaires. Methodologies of quantitative research, discussion groups, benefits obtained from focus groups, the drawbacks of participating in focus groups, observation. Open-ended questionnaires. Interviews that have a semi-structured format. Theoretical investigation. Interviews with no predetermined structure. Research using a mix of methods. The choice of the most appropriate approach. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share with your colleagues, classmates and friends. Also subscribe to my channel for more content.